So let's talk weather and voter turnout. Obviously, people don't want to go to the polls when it's wet. Has that affected turnout in the past?
Yeah, believe it or not, there have been political scientists who studied that question, and what they've typically found is that turnout does increase. It's kind of common sense, but people go to the polls less when the weather's bad, when it's raining, and so it does have an impact. With that said, Emily, there are a lot of new ways to vote, and there's a lot more early voting, and so that's one saving grace is that if there's an opportunity to vote, in the days or weeks leading up, people can look at the forecast and figure out what a better time to go vote is. So you're not standing out there in the rain waiting to go cast your ballot.
And when it does affect voter turnout, has it favored one party over another?
So that's a really great question. What the research has shown is that Republicans tend to benefit from bad weather, and so if you're a Republican, maybe you're hoping for rain a little bit. I'd say one caveat though. That's been a study that's a few years old now, and post pandemic, we have noticed a kind of a different phenomenon, and that is that Democrats a lot of times will take advantage of early voting, vote by mail, whereas Republicans have shifted to be a little more likely to vote more on election day. And so, that could potentially change a little bit in 2022. Obviously, once the votes are cast, there'll be a bunch of academics trying to collect all the data, compare weather in different locations, and try to figure that out and see if it's changed. But the current thinking is Republicans tend to do a little bit better with bad weather.
Interesting. No major weather events going on this year for election day, but have there been any noteworthy major weather events that have affected the election in the past?
Oh yeah, you always have, some bad rainstorms, and certainly in some areas in the Northeast, there's been some places that get some of those early snowfalls and things like that. And so, I can't think of any like major hurricane or event that I'm remembering. But yeah, there's always going to be, given, think about elections. There are so many different elections that go on in the US. Obviously we all think about the presidential elections and the midterms, but there's local elections and county elections and judicial elections. And so, we're a country that has quite a few different elections. So you're always going to run up against different weather. And it really does. It provides a fun opportunity to study some of these questions because there's so much variation out there.
Is it going to be a non-issue in the future, though, you think?
I think with all the early voting, I think it's going to become less important. And again, I'm a fan of the early voting. I think that obviously election security is important. We need to make sure people who are eligible to vote, people who are voting are eligible to vote. But, think about it. It's just, it's really convenient to do it more on your own schedule. What if you get sick on election day, or what if you have something last minute comes up at work, or really anything that could happen. And so, I'm a big fan of creating a little more of a window, and putting polling locations in places that are a little easier and more convenient as well. I don't think we need to make it complicated like solving a riddle to vote. I think that it's good for democracy when more people participate.